The previous 8 sessions presented general and specific information about how to engage students through verbal, written, and action responses. These strategies focus on including all students throughout instruction, increasing student accountability to participate in class, and increasing your ability to monitor student understanding, adjust instruction, and provide meaningful feedback. Session 9 expands on these concepts, bringing the same goals to passage reading. How can you increase the active participation of all students when assigning reading tasks? You will identify the drawbacks of round-robin reading and learn alternate strategies that include all students, increase students' rehearsal time, and allow you to monitor the reading skills and comprehension of all students in your class. This session also includes useful tools for scaffolding and supporting the reading skills of the lowest readers in your classroom.
We are going to move to one last big topic, and that topic is on reading in the classroom. Now, you're elementary teachers. Are you hoping that students will be able to read before they leave elementary school, yes or no? Yes. And so all of your teachers of reading, and you are reading in your core reading program, or you're reading in your intervention program, or you're reading in science, you're reading in social studies, you're reading articles. There's a lot of reading that occurs in the classroom. But some of the practices that we're currently using are not optimum practices. This being not only the most common, but also one of the challenging practices. And that is, I call on Karen to read, then I call on Holly to read, and then I call on Mary to read, and then I call on Emma Jean to read. There's a number of disadvantages of that, particularly in a large group. And we're going to first explore what are those disadvantages. And my turn first. Why would that not be the very, very best practice? So, what we call round-robin reading. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, this is actually I believe the most important reason that we need to move to other practices, and that is it will actually, if we use that practice, it will reduce the amount of practice that each child receives in reading. That is the significant challenge of it. So as the numbers in my class go up, the amount of practice the students receive goes down if I solely utilize round-robin reading. And some of you, as you've shared with me, have fairly large classes. And so if I have 20 students and I call on them individually, I might not even get to everyone in a reading lesson. And so I'm reducing the amount of practice. And if I reduce the amount of practice, is it possible that that might reduce their gains in reading? Yes or no, everyone? Yes. Now, you live right here in Portland, Oregon. You live in the state of running. All of my friends are runners. Many of them do marathons because, woo, they're from Oregon. But they'll sit down when we're at dinner and they'll be discussing, well, on Monday I ran 5 miles, but then I've got to do hills this weekend, and I really should get in 20 before the 26. I mean, they're always talking about it because they know that the miles on the feet is going to relate to how well they do in the marathon. In reading, it is words on the tongue. Words on the tongue is going to relate to how much and how well you do in reading. So we need other practices. That's one of the disadvantages. There's some others, and on your paper, would you please add some other disadvantages in a large group of round-robin reading, and continue writing your ideas until I say stop. And even a very good reader can become anxious. Excellent. Thank you, dear. working on your own back here? Thank goodness I came to monitor. So is it possible that some students will be inattentive? Yeah. And so, right? Big chances. That's right. Absolutely. So if I have paragraph, 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 they're counting. That's right. Okay. That's right on. Thanks, Harrison. You remember that. Okay, so first ones and twos, share with your partner what you think the disadvantages are. If your partner has a good idea, add it to your own paper and go. Okay, fall silent. So you had quite a long list and a very accurate list. And you looked at it in sort of two different ways. You looked at it in terms of disadvantages to the reader and disadvantages to the quote-unquote listener. And first, Lynn suggested that many students might be very anxious. If I just said, Heather, see at this moment for you to read, that you hadn't previewed it, you hadn't looked at it, could that make even the highest reader anxious? Yes or no, everyone? Yes, okay? And many of you focused on the fact that the lowest readers in the class might be embarrassed to so expose their lack of reading skills. Particularly in the upper grades, if I had a fifth grader who read at the second grade level, it certainly could be a challenge. And even little things, like Sean said, some of them don't read aloud enough, and you have to spend the whole time louder, louder, much louder to get them so that they could be heard. One of the things I've seen sometimes in general ed class is I call on one student to read, they're reading and they're trying to sound out a word, and the children begin throwing out things, and it becomes very uncomfortable. That word is, they get like disgusted. So that's a challenge. But most of you focused on the listener and basically said, they're not. That's what you said. So if I say, Shannon, as soon as I say, Shannon, is it possible that some students are no longer paying attention? Yes or no? See, if you believe that they're all following along, get a grip. Not only that, you said basically, Justin said they check out and negative behaviors begin to emerge. And they're inattentive, they're off task. And Harrison said, well, I remember in school when they went, you read a paragraph, you read a paragraph, you read a paragraph, you read a paragraph. What you should be doing is counting and figuring out your paragraph so you are looking ahead. So there are numerous disadvantages. The big one being that as the numbers go up, the practice goes down. Now, would you ever use calling on one student? The only time I'd really recommend that is if you were teaching a small group. And so if I had a tier 2 or a tier 3 group, and it's the 4 of you, I might call on individuals because I really need to hone in and listen to your reading. And many of the challenges could be avoided that would occur in a large group because you're still going to get lots of practice. And if you're inattentive, I can help. And so calling on individuals in a small group, not as problematic as in a big group. So what we just have to be armed with is some alternatives, and that's what we're going to look at. So if you will go to 51. And so I could have everybody read silently. Here's the problem with silent reading at every grade. Could you have a silent reader faker? Yes or no, everyone? Yes, absolutely. And so they're not attending, they are not reading. So we might need to augment silent reading in order for them to be more attentive. So be my students, and you're going to read this slide to yourself. And when you get down to the word question, I want you to go back and read it again. And as you're reading it, I want you to ask yourself, what are some things that we could do to make silent reading a more viable practice in our classes? Now, if I come to you and I put my hand on your paper, or I put my hand on your back, you're going to whisper read to me, just loud enough so I can hear it, not so loud that it'll interrupt the whole room. So tell me if this would be whisper reading. Proposed rereading question. Is that whisper reading, yes or no? Yes. Yes. Is this whisper reading? Tell students to read. Yes or no? No, that would interrupt other people. So read that. If you get to the last word question, go back and read it again. Go. Okay, perfect, looking up here. So let's just look at what I did in this procedure to make it more viable. First, is it possible that you might feel more accountable for reading it if I gave you a question beforehand and reiterated it afterwards? Yes or no, everyone? Yes. So that would increase the probability that you would read it. Next, could we have differences in fluency in reading? Yes or no? Yes. Well, take any class. I could have in a 4th grade from students who read 30 words per minute to students who read 180 correct words per minute. That's the kind of range we often have. So would I perhaps end up with early finishers? Yes or no? So I basically made the task eternal. I said, if you get to the word question, go back and read it again. So your head pops up and you say, I'm done. I just simply say, sweetheart, you are never done. But this is the big thing, and this one is so helpful. I would use all silent reading as an opportunity to monitor the reading of individual students. Whether it is during the intervention program or in the core reading program or in science and social studies, or even if they were doing independent reading, I'm always going to be moving around the room and having them whisper read to me. Now, first of all, if I am not sitting at my desk but I'm moving amongst you, might you be more on task, yes or no? Yes. But I get those large classes, and I'm not going to be able to call on individuals, but I still need to hear how you, third grader, are doing, how you are doing. And this gives me a chance to constantly monitor on a one-to-one basis the reading gains of the students. Don't lose this one. Do it every single time, and you will be really pleased because the kids will be reading more, and you'll have more idea of their reading skills. Those are the things that we could do to make silent reading better. Now, we do know from the research on acquisition of reading that children benefit in the elementary school, not just from silent reading, but from oral reading. And I want you just to tell your partner why students might benefit from reading orally, particularly in the elementary level, particularly in the primary grades. So tell your partner what would be some of the benefits of oral reading. And go. Okay, fall silent. So Tara immediately said, well, I think the benefit is feedback. So if you are reading orally and you hear yourself, you will be able to hear that pronunciation of the word, and so you're getting feedback. But also, if you're reading orally, I could hear you read and you read and you read. I also could give feedback on the pronunciation. So those are, it is a matter of feedback to yourself, and the teacher feedback to you. So there are numerous ways that we could have kids read orally, and you sort of have to pick the one that would best go with the population you're teaching. So one possibility for oral reading is called echo reading. And everybody put your finger under the word teacher. Check your partner, see if they're there. Yes. Okay, and listen, I'm going to read a phrase. When I stop, then you read the same phrase. And my turn. Teacher reads a word.
Teacher reads a word.
Phrase or sentence.
Phrase or sentence.
All right, now, echo reading has been used particularly at the very beginning, kindergarten, first grade level, mostly to have the students practice appropriate fluency and expression or prosody. And so they're echoing it right back. But here is the challenge. And everybody look at the screen and get ready to echo read. Students echo read the word.
Students echo read the word.
Is it possible that you could echo without looking at the words? Yes, okay, and so that's not going to be very helpful in building up your reading skills. And so the students have to touch the words as they do it, so that they're like looking at the word if it's going to be a good practice. So it's one that we'd use on a very limited basis. Another possibility is we could do choral reading. And everybody find slide number 53. And when you get there, again, put your finger under the word read, right underneath choral reading. So, be my students. We are going to read this together, and as we read it, your job is to keep your voice with mine. And begin, everyone. Read selection with students. Read at a moderate rate. Tell students, keep your voice with mine. Now, that is choral reading. I know that all of you have used choral reading, but let's look at some of the little hints embedded here. Did I read it very, very fast, very, very slow, or at a moderate pace? Which one? Moderate pace. I go very fast, you can't keep up. I go very slow, you lose the gist. So it has to be at a moderate pace. I tell you, I have to work on this. Spending a lot of time in New York City, I end up with the freneticness of New York City, and then I am no longer moderate. Okay, so that sounds like politics. But anyway, moving on. And Could you have some child who thought it was very clever to rush ahead? Yes or no, everyone? Yes. So if we anticipate a problem, we need to pre-correct it, right? That's a perfect example of anticipate and remove. I'm not going to wait until Amanda rushes off. I'm going to say, you need to keep your voice with mine, a pre-correction. Now, there are sort of two totally different ways that we might use choral reading depending on the level of reading of our students. And so, one possibility is if I am working with beginning readers, is I might have them read a page silently, and then we'd go back and read it chorally. Now I want you to think about this. Why might I have them read it silently, even if they have to whisper out loud, because it's sort of a developmental process leading to silent reading. But why might I have them silently read before we did choral reading? So talk it over with your partner and come up with at least 2 reasons that I might have them read it silently, a page before we read it orally. Go. Yay. Okay, fall silent. And so, this group right here had excellent answers. And the first one was, well, if they rehearse it by reading it silently, will they read it more fluently and accurately when we did oral reading? Yes or no, everyone? Yes, okay? And then Julie and Julia were talking over with the fact that also, when they're reading it to themselves, if they didn't know